You're watching Ramping Up Your English on RVTV Voices. This is segment 3 of episode 54. I'm your host, John Letts, and if you're like me, you're yearning to see the entire movie. It's available on YouTube, and I have the link on my website, letscreate.org. OR7's amazing journey can easily take our minds beyond the everyday world. It's not uncommon for a wolf to undertake a journey away from its pack to find a mate. But this leaves us with some questions. Where did Journey's mate come from? No one can say. Did he make this epic journey out of pure instinct? Or did he somehow know that his mate awaited him at the end of the trek? Did the mysterious female somehow know that her mate would find her at the end of her secret journey? Or did it just happen by chance? It seems that we have a case of animals causing us to go beyond our own world into something else. Maybe these wolves take us to the same place that a wolf howl takes us, deep into some ancestral past. As we'll see later in this program, wolves do some surprising things for us. Now let's look at what some people are doing for wolves. This beautiful book entitled Wolf Haven, this one right here that I have on the table. It's called Wolf Haven, Sanctuary and the Future of Wolves in North America. It features essays and photographs from Wolf Haven Sanctuary in the state of Oregon. Now, this is a sanctuary for gray and endangered red wolves. The photography by Anna Marie Musselman and essay by Brenda Peterson allow readers to make a personal connection with some of the 200 plus wolves there. The insights that the authors experience and share reach deep levels of understanding. Wolf Haven has a breeding program to repopulate wolves, including the endangered red wolves. They get to know the wolves by name and report on their behaviors, their interactions, and their characters. They don't humanize the wolves. They document the wolves as individuals, while the text deepens our knowledge of the issues surrounding wolves. So to quote a short paragraph, in the West, there is real hope that we can find a more sustainable and balanced way to live with wolves based on science, not politics. We can see the wild wolf as a top predator and partner instead of a threat. We can change our stories. The key is dialogue, education, and social tolerance. I consider this book and the study that's gone into it to be parallel with Jane Goodall's work with the chimpanzees, only with an artist's touch. For an intermediate English learner, the text may be a challenge in places, but I highly recommend this book. Wolf Haven, Sanctuary and the Future of Wolves in North America by Sasquatch Books in Seattle. Contact information will be on my website, letscreate.org. If you want a deep understanding of wolves and the issues facing them, this book will deliver. As wolves are reintroduced to parts of the United States, we're learning more and more every day about what these wild animals do for our world. The first wolf release took place in Yellowstone National Park. Like many people, I followed this development enough to see some of the positive changes they've made, but I was stunned to learn how they've made geographical changes to the park in a short time they've lived there. The next video explains those changes. See how much of this video you understand.
One of the most exciting scientific findings of the past half-century has been the discovery of widespread trophic cascades. A trophic cascade is an ecological process which starts at the top of the food chain and tumbles all the way down to the bottom. And the classic example is what happened in the Yellowstone National Park in the United States when wolves were reintroduced in 1995. Now, we all know that wolves kill various species of animals, but perhaps we're slightly less aware that they give life to many others. Before the wolves turned up, they'd been absent for 70 years, that the numbers of deer, because there was nothing to hunt them, had built up and built up in the Yellowstone Park, and despite efforts by humans to control them, they'd managed to reduce much of the vegetation there to almost nothing. They'd just grazed it away. But as soon as the wolves arrived, even though they were few in number, they started to have the most remarkable effects. First, of course, they killed some of the deer, but that wasn't the major thing. Much more significantly, they radically changed the behavior of the deer. The deer started avoiding certain parts of the park, the places where they could be trapped most easily, particularly the valleys and the gorges. And immediately those places started to regenerate. In some areas, the height of the trees quintupled in just 6 years. Bare valley sides quickly became forests of aspen and willow and cottonwood. And as soon as that happened, the birds started moving in. The number of songbirds and migratory birds started to increase greatly. The number of beavers started to increase because beavers like to eat the trees. And beavers, like wolves, are ecosystem engineers. They create niches for other species. And the dams they built in the rivers provided habitats for otters and muskrats and ducks and fish and reptiles and amphibians. The wolves killed coyotes, and as a result of that, the number of rabbits and mice began to rise, which meant more hawks, more weasels, more foxes, more badgers. Ravens and bald eagles came down to feed on the carrion that the wolves had left. Bears fed on it too, and their population began to rise as well, partly also because there were more berries growing on the regenerating shrubs. And the bears reinforced the impact of the wolves by killing some of the calves of the deer. But here's where it gets really interesting. The wolves changed the behavior of the rivers. They began to meander less. There was less erosion. The channels narrowed, more pools formed, more riffle sections, all of which were great for wildlife habitats. The rivers changed in response to the wolves. And the reason was that the regenerating forests stabilized the banks so that they collapsed less often, so that the rivers became more fixed in their course. Similarly, by driving the deer out of some places and the vegetation recovering on the valley sides, there was less soil erosion because the vegetation stabilized that as well. So the wolves, small in number, transformed not just the ecosystem of the Yellowstone National Park, this huge area of land, but also its physical geography.
What an incredible video about an incredible process. As a viewer of this program, having seen over 100 viewers or videos of my narration, did you notice the difference in accent and pronunciation? This narrator has a British accent, and British pronunciation is often different from that practiced in the United States. Most of it's a subtle difference, but sometimes it's more obvious. Now, even with that difference, you probably understood just about as much of the video as the ones that I've produced for this program. We'll address the role of accent in the later episodes. You can visit my website for support of all the Ramping Up Your English episodes. It's letscreate.org. Navigate to the episode 54 page for today's episode. You can watch and even download all episodes of Ramping Up Your English at archive.org/details/Rogue TV. Use the search box by entering enter Ramping Up Your English. You'll find all the episodes there. Ramping Up Your English can be seen on the Ashland Home Network, Channel 15, and in the rest of Southern Oregon on cable, which is Charter Cable here, Charter Cable Channel 182. Showtimes are 8 o'clock a.m. and that's on Mondays, and 7:30 p.m. on Thursdays. Showtimes will vary in different areas. Check your local public access and education stations. I want to acknowledge the contributions to today's episodes. CS Productions made the trailer for the Journey movie. Skyship Films produced the trailer for the Wolf OR7 Expedition trailer. I have a link to their full-length movie on my website. Also, Sustainable Man for the video How Wolves Change Rivers. I also want to acknowledge and thank the photographers who make their work available through Creative Commons and the same licensing that we use here on Ramping Up Your English. I also want to thank the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife for use of their photographs. I want to thank my director, Denise Ross, and my talented and loyal crew, and I want to thank you, our viewers. All of you helped to make this program an award winner. Join us next time for Ramping Up Your English. I'm John Letts.
You've been watching Ramping Up Your English, a support program for intermediate-level English language learners. Learn more. Visit our website at letscreate.org. You can also watch or download today's program at archive.org/details/roadtv. Join us next time on RBTV Voices for Ramping Up Your English.